That's what carries the disease, Dennis. The hair. We don't really need it. Look at us. We're evolving without it. We came from the apes, and look at us now. One day we'll be completely hairless and totally pure. It's the Going On podcast with Rap Critic and Muse. Muse, how you doing?
We've been trying to keep the conversation on the podcast steered away from current events, shit that's going on, but there's one aspect of this that it's right up our alley, and it's relevant to the show. So I heard on the radio this morning on one of our local hip-hop stations an ad for Novant Health, and they've been teaming up with musicians to try to spread the word that the coronavirus, COVID-19, has been affecting the African-American community at a disproportionate rate. So their attempt to, I guess, get the message to those who need to hear it is teaming up with not exactly the most relevant names in music.
Yeah.
And the one I heard this morning was with Dougie Fresh.
Everybody, keep your face mask on. Don't take it off because Corona's strong. And wash your hands for 20 seconds long. 6 feet keep, 6 feet keep. 6 feet, social distance is on. On.
RC brought to my attention that not only is Dougie Fresh carrying all the weight on his shoulders, no. Anthony Hamilton also recorded one.
We don't have to worry about Corona, cause we're gonna stay inside. Practice a little social distance. Make sure it's 6 feet wide. Make sure to put your mask and your gloves on. Make sure you do it right. So be cool, stay home, that's the rules. My name is Anthony Hamilton. Stay home, stay safe.
It kind of feels like someone just called them real quick, and they were like, well, if I don't do it now, I'm going to forget, so I'll just turn on the camera, do this real quick, do this in one fucking take, and we are not thinking about this again. Because it always seems like it's just in the middle of the day, like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'll just do this real quick, get it out of the way. Because Anthony Hamilton's especially seems really low effort. But, I gotta respect it. They're doing their part. But you messaged me about something else related to this that we gotta talk about.
Yeah, it seems that hip-hop themed political content is making a comeback in a weirdly tangential way. Because there's that, which is, I feel, regardless of how you feel, using hip-hop for good.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Sure.
And then there's the new, what is it, a Trump ad or just a shit post that he retweeted, which basically is like a free ad, like...
Here's a particularly shitty thing, although it's not anywhere near the top 10 shitty things Trump has done on Twitter specifically. He'll get a shit post, right? And instead of just retweeting it so the original poster gets the credit, they'll download it and then upload it as their own content. And it's like, Trump, I know you didn't make that. I know no one in your fucking cabinet sat down and edited this shit together. You just stole it. If we're thinking about the same video, it's the one that had the weird, questionable, confusing Joe Biden clip in it.
And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun.
It's like, oof.
I'm not going to say shit about the election, but oof.
Big oof.
Big oof energy. It's ooful, to say the least.
And just the fact that, so in the ad, they just use it, if you had been on the internet, you kind of saw this coming, with the awkward clips that kept coming out. Yeah. And then, oh, wow, Trump just retweeted an awkward clip of Biden saying some weird shit. And then they had the clip play in front of, a Photoshop of Obama with a couple of his friends. And, it's another ad, but, retooled to have like the Biden awkward clip in there and have Obama sitting there awkwardly looking at his friends as the ad is playing and just going, what? And then it smash cuts to "Let Me Clear My Throat." And it's just like, what in the world? Like, it was in such a strangely tangential, like, after you see how bad Biden is, it's kind of like, and Trump's down with the hippity hop.
He's down with the culture.
By using, like, one of the, most old school samples he could use, so that he wouldn't, like, offend anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't exactly going to play a Lil Yachty on that bitch,
It reeked of two things. One, he didn't want to use music from an artist who is relevant today who could possibly be like, hey, take that shit down.
Yeah.
I did not sign off on that. Get my music off your fucking Twitter page. And I get the sneaking suspicion that that's just one of the few rap songs the editor knew.
Oh, absolutely. That's just how it comes off.
That's how deep your knowledge of hip-hop was, that you just... what's that song that goes, "Let Me Clear My Throat"? Yeah, that one. Whatever.
But it's like, contrary to Biden, who looks like he's failing with black people, we got the hip hop on our little thing. Come on. It's so like, no, you guys aren't. Trump's not better. Wouldn't it be funny if, like, in addition to the Chinese xenophobic ads that they, that both Biden and Trump put up, like, in addition, there was also, like, a Biden hip-hop video answer, where he treated...
And it's fucking Jin.
Oh, no. Jin, oh, no, you're better than this. Jin, the MC, no.
Luckily, we know no one in Trump's team or Biden's team know who Jin is, so I don't think he has anything to worry about. We've got a new album, and I think that might just have to go first. We don't do it often, but I think we might have to make an exception for DaBaby.
Baby on baby on baby.
It's DaBaby. Gotta love him. But do you? Do I have to love DaBaby?
How has he not pulled that one out yet?
Because how fucking old is DaBaby? I'm definitely older than DaBaby, right? I gotta be. He doesn't know what the fuck Jim Henson's Dinosaurs is. He's only 28. That's not as young as I thought he'd be, actually. Born in Cleveland. Oh no, DaBaby.
Oh, oh my goodness, is this the first in-flight situation?
This is not my first DaBaby project I've listened to. I listened to Kirk back when it came out. I thought it was okay. It's one of those situations where, though, when you don't listen to something for the podcast, you don't give it your undivided attention, and nearly as much as you do when you're seeking to be critical and delve deeper into it. So upon my very casual listening, I thought it was okay. The first listen through on this, I thought it was all right. It's not great, though.
Yeah,
like it's
It
serviceable.
has one or two really shining moments, but for the most part, the songs are really short, which I guess is, respectable in the sense that he's like, look, I just want to do this idea and I'm out. This idea and some featured guest rapper and I'm out. And that's like basically every song.
There are a couple songs in particular, especially Amazing Grace.
Yeah, like they don't even have 3 verses.
Amazing Grace needed an extra verse. That needed one more. I would have liked that. I'm looking through this. I'm looking for those aforementioned shining moments. The song I gave the highest rating to, it appears to be Blame It On Baby.
Oh, the one with the weird beat switches?
See, here's the thing, right? I really like the very simple piano and then strings.
Yeah, yeah, like, the first time it happens, it catches you off guard, but after a while, it doesn't feel like it's being artful. Like, it feels like it's doing it, like, just to be like, I can switch up flows, fuck you guys. And now, I did enjoy, though, that he just mentions it at one point. That'd be like, why you switch the beat? Because my flow neat. I thought he couldn't switch the flow. How the hell he switching the beat up? They don't know who they fucking with. Do the shit with my feet up.
But then he ended up doing it like 2 more times, and it's like, all right, I think that's just a bit over the top. I also I thought the first 2 tracks were okay. Can't Stop and Pick Up.
I mean, yeah, just of how, like, in your face that first part is, ain't no stopping no nigga like me, ain't no stopping no nigga like me.
Oh, that's so catchy. Yeah. I was vibing with Can't Stop. That's a fucking bop.
It really is like a hype train that you see coming down the street, and then you just see, that big gold teeth encrusted baby face thing come up against you, like a fucking Busta Rhymes video, and he's been vibing the whole time, and you're just happening to catch the energy. Do you want to jump on the train? Ain't no stopping no nigga like me.
I thought Jump was pretty good. I thought that was a catchier track. Problem, I use that term subjectively, that it's a problem, because I don't know. I don't see DaBaby as being the kind of rapper where you're gonna like take a fucking scalpel to his lyrical content. It's not really about that.
I think it's mostly about, like, do you enjoy how the song moves, where he's taking you, what he's saying, how he puts you in the moment of the music.
Those are the tracks I gave more favorable ratings to, ones that had pretty good beats, ones that I thought his flow fit the situation.
I thought it was kind of annoying with the, wait a minute,
that shit got so fucking annoying. I hate that sample.
Guys, stop doing this. Like, this is going to be one of those things where in 20 years, people are going to be listening back to rap albums like, why did they let the producer just do that? Like, every song?
I think back to, like, people don't expect people to listen to albums in full.
Maybe. Or, like, can we at least have, like, an alternate version without these on it? Like,
yeah, it's
without the freaking audio watermarks?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those. Find My Way, I thought was alright. With the fucking Ride With Me beat, pretty much.
I usually enjoy a baby song when it's those weird off-the-wall beats, like some of these songs have. But when he does the, like, smooth, like, stuff that kind of sounds like emo rap, beats, because it's like the SoundCloud with the slowed-down guitar, like, that's just, that doesn't hit me as well, And I think that happened, like, sooner than later on this album. Like, I remember Light Skin Shit kind of having that, like, vibe, and just not liking that song's subject matter. Like, not even that subject matter, but it's just like, what? This isn't necessary.
I didn't care for that one.
Yeah, she be on that light skin shit, like, alright.
It didn't get my lowest ratings, though. Those would go to...
Oh, I think we're gonna be in agreement.
Okay,
my good sir.
We'll go in descending order. The third lowest rating would go to Champion.
I enjoyed that enough, like, for what the hook was. Was that the one where he's like, no crying, no crying, no crying? Is that the one? I
liked the beat on it, but I don't remember anything else about it.
Yeah, in the hook, he's like, I didn't take the fast route. Suck it up. No crying, no crying, no crying. I ain't asked for handouts. Go to work. No grind, no shot, no shot. I kind of like that. Like, again, if this is going to be what it is, it's like gym music, whatever. It's enjoyable, yeah.
Then we got Drop featuring Boogie with the Hoodie and London on the track.
Yeah, and I think he just did the hook. Like, did he even do a verse?
I think he might. I feel like he did. I think he might have done the first verse, or maybe I might be getting confused.
Anyway, all of these guest verses were just kind of duds to me. Like, I really didn't feel like they added to the energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. Then the absolute worst is Sad Shit. That is not up for debate.
I couldn't believe it. The way it starts. Because this man, he's just so, like, blatant and naked, like, with, what he wants to say in his music and what he's doing. And it's just so in your face. And then he's just like, all right, now I got to do something completely different to switch it up. So let me do some sad shit. Like, he just tells you.
It's like, no, dude, you really don't. Please, don't.
And yeah, it's like, first of all, you don't have to. And second of all, he's not even committing to it.
At one point, he's like, nah, and he basically like throws it in your face like, nah, fuck that. And he kind of like picks it up a bit, but you've already devoted too much time to it. So it's like, well, you already made me sit through so much of that sad boy shit, so now it's like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really make up for it, though, and now you're not really going back to as hard as you were. It's still kind of middle ground. So, yeah, that whole thing was just so unneeded. I hated it.
So confusing. And then with the hook where it's like, it's trying to do like, oh, I'm sad and all that stuff, but it still ends, the hook still ends with like, I'm back fucking 4 or 5 women if I really did you wrong. Like, all right, well, you don't sound like things are going too bad. You know, it's just like, you don't actually have to be sad. You can pretend to be sad for a full song without going like, no, but I'm still cool though. Don't get it confused.
Speaking of these guest verses, I wasn't a big fan of Rockstar either. Another beat I thought was all right. And I honestly wasn't even fucking with the track until Rich's verse. Like, I thought that was the best part.
I really enjoyed Jump, like you were saying earlier. Like, I think that was one of the ones where the beat was more fitting of what he does, you know? Yeah. Exactly that.
Let's talk about Nasty, featuring Ashanti and Megan Thee Stallion.
The first thing I wrote was just, God damn. Holy shit.
I
think we've got the hit single, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the problem. It's not... It's too nasty for radio.
It's not ready for radio play.
No.
Who needs it in this age? Who's bobbing in the radio on the way to work?
I would say Blame It On Baby is probably going to be the one to get the fucking play, but Nasty is the one everyone's talking about because it's bringing Ashanti out, and you don't hear her
Good
enough.
Lord.
And the beat they got on this track mixes with Ashanti's sweet singing on the chorus. It's top tier shit.
Oh my god, these fucking lyrics.
I think, unfortunately, a couple things. Like, the novelty kind of wears thin because it is one of the longer tracks. Just like the novelty of, hey, it's like a throwback with Ashanti. And until Ashanti kind of spits that little mini verse, I was like, okay, I like that. But Megan just kind of gets lost in the shuffle, I felt like.
I enjoyed her verse as well, actually.
I wish it was longer. Like,
the baby definitely fucking goes in.
You need to give Megan more time, especially if she's only going to be on this bitch once.
Just the way he, over these beats, like the way he adds in these onomatopoeias and just like the strength of his voice, like the little when he's in it. And like you really like hear it, the way it just gets in your face. It's like, I'm doing push-ups in that pussy. We getting our workout on it. I put a bath towel on the bed just so she can squirt out on it. And you just like,
yeah, that ain't getting radio play, my dude. They are not going to be fucking with that shit. My God. They ain't going to be trying to touch that.
But if there's one song you absolutely need to hear, it is this one. It
is good. It is my second favorite track on here. I did really like it. Going back for just a second, talking about these subpar features, we let Future and Quavo off the hook. And we got to go back for a second. We forgot Quavo and Future at the gas station. We're going to have to make a U-turn and get them back. I think Quavo kind of gets a pass only because DaBaby almost kind of bites Quavo's flow on this track. And then when Quavo does it, it's like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be done. That sounds right. When DaBaby does it, it sounds like a Quavo impression. So it almost felt like Quavo was like, hey, step aside, I'm going to show you how it's done, and do this for like the last 40 seconds of the song. But Future, you can leave Future off just about everything, man. He doesn't add shit to any fucking feature he's on. Never feature Future again. Thank you. I got a 2.5. How about you?
I got a 3.
But let's take a trip in the Wayback Machine. Let's go back to a different time. Is it different? We'll see. It's 2016 with Token. Again, I see. How nice
the
of
people
you to show
wanted
up.
To know.
The people wanted to know. What's Token up to? Specifically, Jared Levy, who put in the request for Erasure Shavings by Token. Previously, we reviewed his 2018 album. What was it like? Somewhere between somewhere. I think that was
somewhere. Yeah.
Now we're taking 2 steps back, literally, with Erasure Shavings. Your boy's 17 at the time of this recording. Mm-hmm. And that makes it explains
some things.
Yeah. It makes the shining moments a bit more impressive.
That's how I feel as well, yes.
But it also puts a lot of things into perspective, unfortunately. Let me talk about those highlights for just a second, because let me give the boy some credit. All right, best tracks on the album. I got 2 here. Mass Reform. I thought that was pretty good. Out of all of his brag rap tracks, I think this was the best one. And Self-Made, the last track, where he takes he basically takes the bookend approach of, I'm going to start the album with a song called Self-Taught, I'm going to end it with a track called Self-Made, and Self-Made is kind of full of callbacks to Self-Taught's lyrical themes, just kind of like a, hey, here's how far I've come since then, since just the hour when you started listening to this. And I thought the beat on that one was so fucking good. Whoever's producing these tracks, this is the only one that has like, wow, where the fuck is this sample and this hard as fuck beat? Where was this the whole time?
Did DaBaby's album also end with a gospel sample? Or was that one just called Amazing Grace?
I think it was just called Amazing Grace. I think he made a reference to being spiritual, but I don't think it went too much further than that.
Yeah. Oh, and I liked Mass Reform, going back to what you said. You know, that one lyric where he says, I don't create regrets. I'll spit something so over their head, they'll try to understand it and sprain their neck. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got little lyrics like that where I was like, oh shit, okay.
You know, I didn't quote too much favorably, but this one part in particular, I'm either bonkers or all the way nuts, flawless and not getting touched, confident, modest and loved, cocky, obnoxious and blunt, awkward, not talking enough, repulsively all of the above, or probably just, and then he just goes into the chorus. I thought that was like the flow on that. And that was the one track where he did say something about like his quotables. And before that part came up, I was like, where the fuck are the quotables, dude? I must have been missing all of them. But then he fucking proved me wrong. He shut me up.
What was that one lyric where he's like, I'm so dope, the producer wants to drop the beat on the whole track?
See, we'll get to that in a second. Because real quick, I want to talk about the tracks that got the lowest ratings. 3 tracks got 0s from me. Necessary Evil got a fucking 0. Exception got a fucking 0. And Waist Down got a fucking 0. Stop hitting me got a fucking 1.
Yeah. No, stop hitting me. You can get the fuck out of here.
I thought that was slightly, marginally better than the other ones. It is funny, though, that you get Stop Hitting Me right after Waist Down, because it's a 1-2 punch of just some weak-ass Eminem knockoff shit. Oh, God,
it's so, like, trying to be funny, and it's, like, almost there.
Man, Waist Down had that encore stink all over it. Yeah! I don't give a fuck, like I'm paralyzed from the waist.
Yeah, and it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, that's a bad lyric, and he wants to make that the hook, okay. And then he just kept going into it, like, waist down, like I don't give a fuck, like I'm paralyzed from the waist down, I got no fit in my legs, wheelchairs and Papa Wheelie on, I'm really young. It's just like, this isn't that impressive, it just sounds weird that you're like bragging about being paraplegic. Like, it's just awkward.
It was fucking, oh man, what were they called? The Sesame Street Gangsters.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck is this try-hard edgelord shit? And of course, it had to be a woman who chimes in.
Badly acted, may I add.
And says, Token, this is all really bad. Like the whole line, paralyzed from the waist down, that's kind of fucked up. It's not funny. It's not good. When the whole song up to this point is fucking just, I'm just shooting this shit, I'm just saying all this dumb shit, and you have someone come in and criticize it, that's typically where the song ends. That's like it. And then you go on to your next fuck thing. Token, however, decides to spend the whole rest of the song throwing a temper tantrum that someone dared call him out on his shit. Oh, I guess I just can't have fun anymore. Like, oh my god, it's the most... That was so fucking cringy.
And that's the YouTube too self-aware for its own good rapper style that he does, Where it's like, oh, get it? I'm calling out that it sounds stupid and I'm making fun of you for calling me out for making a stupid hook. And it's like, if this was enjoyable, it would be funny, but it's not.
The album itself doesn't start out the worst. I thought Self-Taught was okay.
It was okay. It again, that was the one where it's like, it had those couple of flashes where he said one lyric where it was like, I reformed and reworked the whole like something like that, where it's just like, ooh, that was kind of cool. Where'd that come from, But yeah, for the most part, it was like, I wouldn't necessarily play it back, but yeah, there were those moments where it was like, oh shit, you just hyped me up. I wasn't expecting a lyric like that,
I gotta say, it was kind of cringe how the first example of his speed rapping, he literally has to go like, okay, here it comes. Like, he stops the beat and like prepares you mentally for just a very short.
Yeah, just a couple of bars.
It's so short. Like he thought better of it. And like, oh, okay, that's enough. I'll do more later, but that's all I got right now. Like, what the fuck?
And Unnecessary Evil, like, I didn't mind that one as much, except for the hooks just seeming like it didn't, like, work, where it's like, I'm the necessary evil when they're talking about me. Like, what is that? It's a necessary evil to talk about you when they're talking about you? Like, what does that mean?
I'm gonna get to Necessary Evil, but I gotta talk about Happiness. Because I got big eye roll vibes from this one here.
It was again, and this is one of the ones where I'm like, he's 17, he's trying to be socially conscious,
Oh man, he's got his fucking finger on the pulse. So what you got here, which I will give him credit again. The song gets stronger in the final verse where he finally decides to focus on himself. But before that, you get two very trope-heavy, hypothetical, anecdotal people that he just happens to talk to in his school. The first verse is this kid who's down in the dumps, and he knows he's down in the dumps, he sees him, and the kid asks him, show me what happiness is, which no one said that. Token. Yeah. No one talks like that. But then the second verse, oh man, Token with the goddamn M. Night Shyamalan twist of the century.
Ooh.
There's this girl who she appears like she's got it all. She's got the looks. She's got the popularity. How could she possibly not be? Oh no, she's sad too, and she says the exact same thing to me. Weird. Look,
it's his first story. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I thought it was extremely, like, especially the forgettable, overly dramatic beat on this one. It was trying so hard.
I'll put it to you like this. Like, everyone was a kid at some point, and they heard that song from their favorite artist at the time that was, like, uplifting or whatever, and maybe it made them feel good. Everybody had their little, I Am Beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Their Christina Aguilera joint,
Is this that?
Everybody gets one.
Oh, man. Okay.
Well, unless the car had hers,
Now, what might be the cringiest diss track to no one in particular. He subverts my expectations a lot on this album, where I think I know where he's going, or at least I hope I know where he's going. Like on Waist Down. Okay, you got someone straight up saying, this is the worst. This is your absolute worst song. And if it wasn't on this album, I might say, yeah, this probably is your worst song. But then he goes in a direction of not taking that and just, crying for like a minute and a half. This is how the fucking track opens. You motherfuckers, I eat you for fucking breakfast and not even be fucking full. You're fucking appetizing. You're my breakfast. Fucking appetizing. You're like, wow, so this is like satire, right? Like, he's purposely being like over the top aggro guy, but then you find out, oh no, he means it, and it becomes really embarrassing. I wrote down that this is basically John Cena rap on this track.
Oh, okay. Now that you say that,
if you listen to John Cena's entrance theme, the fucking I wipe your mouth like Colgate, like that type of shit. I'm like, ooh man, he's so hard. But I had to. I gotta highlight this. Token is a visionary in a fairly twisted, scary scripted parody, and he carries emissaries fit to bury sissy fairies. I'm sorry, this only gets worse. In the very cemetery, he's getting married to the dictionary at. That's how he kills canaries.
Very splat.
I kill a rival on arrival, really. Ever since I went viral, they call me vile. Really? And I don't use the word F-word anymore, because critics twist my words into a spiral. Just tell them I'm feeling homicidal.
Oh.
No, Token. How are critics supposed to take your words when you give them the fucking ammo? Just earlier you said fit to bury sissy fairies. Then you followed up with homicidal. And you're claiming that critics are twisting your words into a... What else could you mean?
On the song he's saying, but I don't want to use this word anymore because people are just going to misconstrue it.
I won't use this homophobic slur, but I will use two other ones without a second thought. With the exact
homophobic context that you're expecting.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
What are you...
He doesn't follow it up with that great of a track either. The excruciatingly bland method.
I like the piano beat. I like the little clanging thing that was going on in the back,
The only thing I got written down for this is the line, my fans enjoy the fruits of my labor, feeling this kid, cause they go bananas when I appeal in this spin.
That's one of those things where it's just like, I had banana, and appeal is a word that relates to it. You see what I did? I put it together and then I said it.
I was really going somewhere. You can't stop me once I get started.
But I did like the one line where he says, all I gotta do is verbalize a rap flow and it's a legal murder like tobacco. I thought that was alright.
That was good. I do remember that one. If I'm not mistaken, when we reviewed Token's album last time, I think this was the track he alluded to, where he talked about like standing up for a bully or standing up to bullies. Did he say that? Like in the opening track of the album we reviewed, it was this super heavy loaded track where he goes, people were saying I was a hero for that song about bullying, but little do people know that only a couple years later, I became friends with the bullies.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
It was almost like his Macklemore. You ever hear that song where Macklemore was
the
saying,
other side, I think, or something like that, where he's talking about his dependency and how he made songs about it, and then like he was feeling bad that people were calling him this great guy, even though he had relapsed, right?
Yeah, because he was like, I wrote a song about my sobriety, and people said it was really influential and inspiring, but I feel hypocritical because I'm not sober and I am still dependent and I feel like I'm letting them down. Yeah, that type of thing. He went for that. It didn't land quite as hard, or it wasn't nearly as impactful as when Macklemore does it, which is incredible to say that Macklemore was able to do something better than another rapper, but here we are in 2020. Exception. This track is so bad.
And the thing is, it's like, it so overplays the emotion with the beat break trumpet that comes in. It's like, guys, this is really serious.
So what we got here, just gonna lay this out. Token is observing a kid getting bullied, and despite his previous comments of no longer using the F word, he has no problem in saying in a quoting way, saying it in third person. He drops the R word and the F word in the first fucking verse.
And like, yeah, if you are to make the point, he's saying it through the perspectives of the people who are bullying this kid, you know.
Yeah, you don't have to say them specifically, though, Token. We get the point. And he's talking about how, and even then, at that point, he's still kind of like, hey, they shouldn't be bullying him. But I can understand why they would be, because he talks to himself and he's kind of weird. Like, he already doesn't really seem to be 100% in this guy's corner.
Well, he brought up one point where he's like, hey, you know, to be honest, most of the bullies don't mean any harm. They're just kids like any of us. They just want to be in charge. They like attention, but lack guidance in getting it.
He's already trying to make excuses for the bullies.
Well, I feel like it's, in a way, it's just like, we're all human and there's a reason why such and such is doing that, but it just doesn't land right. Like, well, they don't mean any harm. It's like, yes, they do.
If the song didn't take the direction it did, I would say, yeah, that's something you can say. But in this context, no. Because at the end of the first verse, he says, hey, you know, if they keep it up, I'm gonna say something. One of these days, I'm gonna say something. And, okay, if this was a better written song by someone maybe not 17, maybe a little bit more seasoned, they could take this exact story and the things he's even saying and make it work. Because by the end of the track, this kid comes to school with a gun.
Yeah.
And he murders the bullies in the school.
The bullies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, as Token is like, hey man, stop, he says, you were third on my list.
Yeah.
And if it's a callback to like hey, one of these days, I'm gonna say something, but like, if he never really did, like, if you played up you let this happen to me, you stood by, I laid by, but then you're still like vilifying the guy who is bullied by making him the murderer in the end, and not even really making it like a story about how people are pushed. You just kind of made it sound like this guy just snapped.
It was just like, it was played for the twist of, oh, and I'm coming after you too. Like, that's what it was for, you know what I mean?
It's the fucking American History X ending.
You know, and I've been thinking about, like, I mean, there were lots of songs like this in the early 2000s, right? You know, we are the youth of the nation, you know, like, why did that kid commit that school shooting? Why did it happen, you know? And maybe at the time you could give it a little bit more credence, but it is kind of weird to like go back and like actually look at a lot of those school shootings, and it's like a lot of them weren't nerds, a lot of them were like neo-Nazis and shit, and they're like actually kind of more. And it's like,
And I don't know, man. Like, a song about a school shooting in 2016 feels really late. Like,
yeah,
especially since
most
like
definitely
Sandy Hook 4 years before this. Like you said, early 2000s, around the time of Columbine. Okay, I get it. Because up until that point, like, Columbine was like the first major U.S. school shooting. There have been a few before that, but that was one that got people talking. But like 2016, that's really late for a song like this. You probably shouldn't have included that on the album at all.
Again, I think this is him being 17, trying to make I'm making a brave statement, a bold statement, and I'm taking the story, different than what you'd expect,
I don't know what the statement is though. Like it's not an anti-gun message. It's not really an anti-bullying message either, because then he empathizes with the bullies in it anyway.
I mean, it can only be taken as a, hey, if you see something, you should do something. Like, that's what the main thing you take away from the story, right? Because most people are going to be the people watching the bullying, right? And so he's speaking to them in a way, I guess, by saying, they can come after your ass next, so you better fucking say something.
We mentioned Stop Hitting Me, but I didn't quote my favorite part. And I say you did it. But he said that I said that you said you did it, but I didn't. He said that you said you did it, but you didn't. He said you did it, but you didn't do it. You did it, didn't you? Like, what?
I was just lost. I was like, I don't understand what's happening.
All right.
In general, like, with the hook of it just being like, stop hitting me. Like, first of all, it's just not like a very forceful thing to say, but then it's not really clear if it's like, stop hitting me, the rapper who's saying it, or like the people who are, the people who I'm spitting these raps against, they're gonna say stop hitting me. But it feels like he's saying it in alluding to the idea of like, stop hitting me on my phone, for collabs and shit like that. But it just, I don't know, it just feels kind of muddled. And then with how it ends with the very unsatisfactory, like, ooh, I'm gonna go over to this guy's house and actually hit him, ooh, because I'm so mad. It was just so like silly and unnecessary. Yeah.
Mama's favorite share.
What one choice lyric? I ran out of topics, so I punched myself till I got a bleeding face, then write a verse to alleviate the freaking pain. Like, yeah, I got socked in the face. I'm going to the hospital. Really, I go to the freezer for a chocolate popsicle. What's happening?
I almost wrote that down too, but I was like, no, maybe he's going somewhere with that, and I just missed it. But no, when you repeat it back, I don't think there's anything there.
Like, is he saying that he beats himself up to complain in his song about how, like, oh man, this guy beat me up and my life is hard, but then just the line about going like, oh, and then I said I'm going to the hospital, but really I went to the freezer for a chocolate popsicle. Like oh, it wasn't that bad.
Like, is he trying to make a statement of like, how rappers posture and make himself seem all big and bad, but like they're lying.
But he's just talking about himself, so it just feels like it just feels like it's trivializing the emotionality of this whole album by literally just upfront saying, "No, I exaggerate shit."
It's essentially a long, rambling track with really nothing interesting being said. But that doesn't stop him from following it up with a skit that starts immediately with the producer praising him for recording the last track. Being like, oh, man, you did that in one take? Oh, shit. Wow. Like, I'm sorry. That track is the one that's going to get the praise? And
yeah, it was so like after listening to it, being like, oh, I mean, okay.
if you say so, whatever. But this skit, wow! Did you listen to it?
Yeah. Because at first, like, from the perspective of like, oh, if you are a recording artist and you make music, oh, that's a bit of a relatable moment. Like, oh, having to do the same thing over again. But it is so not good the way he does it.
Dude, okay, so throughout the album, and honestly, until that skit, I didn't even notice he was doing it.
Me neither. Yeah, it was one of those things that's like, oh, this was supposed to be the catchphrase?
Yeah, I've missed it. This is like the 9th track. You've been doing it this whole time, and I've missed it. Yeah, at the beginning of the songs, you hear like a echoing in the background, yeah, like he's yelling it. So this skit is him trying to record the share, and it goes on for
a long time.
An amazingly, incredibly it'll just have your fucking jaw, it'll have your mouth agape, wondering how much longer is he gonna drag this out. For absolutely no payoff, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't, it's not even like the joke of like, nah, you fucking suck.
So he ends up just going like, shit! No, sorry, man. Oh, I fucked up. Oh, man, I must be like preoccupied thinking about something else. yeah, let me try it again. Shit! Oh, man. Oh, fuck. I keep fucking it up.
Yeah, it's just supposed to be funny that he's saying it in a silly way, but it's not that funny.
And he ends up doing it like the same way a lot of times, so like he doesn't even keep it like fresh.
Yeah, and they stop and do the playback thing, so there's like extra time in between. So it's just like, oh my god.
It's agonizing. It's one of the worst skits I've ever heard.
Shit! No, that wasn't the one. Just playback.
Yep.
One more. Yeah. Shit.
The skits are bad.
You hate the
Meandering. I don't like the skits. You're right.
And again, I think this is supposed to be him doing the look how real I'm being by showing you the frustration, but the reality of how cool I am because I did it in one take though. But the irony of I couldn't get the shell right. It's just like I don't care.
So we got Real Man, which could have.
He tried to make his Love's Gonna Get You, you know, his little star song giving you a lesson.
This track, this could have been good. He's telling a story, a very uncompelling story about,
especially with how it ends. To me, it feels like a very, you know, he's 17 and maybe the dare stuff, you know, that stuff is still kind of in his head. So he's like, I want to make a song against drugs, you know, and yeah.
This is Dare After School Special bullshit because it's all about the dangers of weed.
Yeah!
Weed! We're doing a song about the dangers of weed in 2016,
you don't want to
everyone.
Dealing too much weed, people, because, you know, that's no good.
That's no good. I was going to say, because later there's a song where you hear this, like, back and forth between a mom, again, some really bad acting.
Oh, man.
Between a mom and a kid.
It's so awkward.
And she's like, Ben, what's wrong?
Ben, what's wrong?
And in Real Man, the kid is named Ben, so I was like, okay.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
But
it was just such a bland story.
If you look on Genius, like, no one points out that it's supposed to be autobiographical. It's not one of the verified by the artist tracks, I don't think. So no, I don't think it's supposed to be autobiographical. He's just telling the story about this kid who, you know, he never did drugs himself, but he went to a party and someone asked him if he wanted to get into dealing it himself, and he did, and oh no, the cops caught him.
Yeah, he thought being a real man was selling drugs, but turns out a real man is not doing that. But for me, it was just like, you're not really addressing the fact that, like, I mean, is he selling drugs because he's, like, really poor and he needs to get by and this is all he can do? Like, you know, because the ending of the story just makes it like, oh, and as he was at the police station, you know, when his mom came to pick up, oh, he learned his lesson that day. And it's like, okay.
He was selling drugs because they thought it made him a real man until one day he found out that he killed his mom and he threw himself off the roof. No? It's not that much? Okay. He fucking held a cop at gunpoint and then he ran down the street and the cop shot him. No? Oh, his mom was disappointed? That's it? Wow.
Like,
okay, great.
You think you lost touch with your friends. They think they lost you. Little did you know you were losing yourself. Now you gotta explain to your friends and family you were someone else when it was, of course, you know, you were a real man. And it's just like, this just doesn't seem that consequence filled. Like, oh no.
So fucking weak, dude.
Yeah. Oh no, not a drug dealer. And then like at least with the Love's Gonna Get You song, they at least had that setup of like, hey man, all we had was like beans and rice, and you know, now that I had to deal a little drugs, like, hey, now there's steak with the beans and rice, you know, I'm being you know what I mean? Like, it at least gives credence to the idea that like there's an economic reason why this is happening, not just because, just for the ego. It's like, you know, like it gives a little heft to it.
Yeah, and even then, like, oh man, you thought you were a real man, you were someone else. He doesn't really give like details about like, it doesn't really make him that, like, yeah, he got like a little angrier.
Yeah, did he like smack his wife or something like that?
Yeah, like, you gotta give me something, like, how was it changing him? You don't really give us much details there.
And then one of the worst ones, these hooks that just like, even if there's anything going on in the verses, these hooks just like sound like they feel like they're so badass, but they're just not the kiss off he thinks it is. It's like, you come up like you had been a friend to me. You have to remember me. My bad. Hashtag bad memory. And he's just like so laughing so hard, like, haha, hashtag bad memory. It's like, do you think this is gonna like trend on Instagram?
It's 2016. We're doing hashtag like it's fucking like selfie by the fucking chain smokers. We're doing that shit.
And he has one lyric in here where he goes like, bitch, none of y'all is exciting. I hate artists who complicate their lyrics more than the ones who simplify it. And it's like, you know that's not true.
Yeah. Who the fuck?
You just said that for the contradiction, you know?
I didn't get that. Yeah, I thought that one was only marginally more clever than the other brag tracks. It's weird how, like, I don't know what I want him to do. Do I like his brag songs? Not really.
Yeah, because they don't really, they're not like Redman quality where it hits you over the head with the silly punchlines and stuff like that. Like, they come every now and then, but it's mostly just him being hyperbolic about how great he is and, you know.
But then it's like, when he steers away from it too much, like he does for the next 3 songs. It's like, well, I don't like this either. What is this?
Yeah, when it gets too personal and it's just like, I'm not interested. Although I did like just a couple more words. I thought that one was nice. Like, you know, saying
that
like,
one's the best of the 3.
Yeah.
That one, he's telling some very personal stories about how, you know, he should talk to his parents more, how he, you know, stopped talking to his sister, and how, you know, he wishes he could be there for the people that he loves, but he just can't find the time, or like, I thought that was fine. Nothing particularly clever about the song. It was just a decently written song. Shavings would have been better, because the verses, I thought that one were pretty dope.
Yeah, and
that song had strong potential, but the fucking overly dramatic acting, that ruined it.
And it's so like, again, maybe that's the point, like, oh, I'm giving you these good lyrics and I'm such a good rapper, but I'm so down on myself. Like, as he was crying, it just kind of felt to me like, oh, yeah, maybe a 17-year-old shouldn't have a rap career. Maybe it is a little early. Maybe he can't handle the emotional stuff that comes with it, because he just keeps talking about how people are asking, like, when's the next verse gonna come out? And fuck you. And in between verses, he's like, they all hate me, no. You know, you almost get the fucking, you almost feel like his mom's gonna make a video, you know, like, we got the cyber police, we caught you guys making fun of my good son, and you done goofed, and we're gonna get you. You know, it's just so, like, I don't think this is having the effect that you think it's having. Like, maybe he's going for like a, look how much I'm bearing my soul by showing me crying, but it just comes off as melodramatic and silly, you know?
I don't remember anything about Perfect, except that was like, oh, I remember now. That was like the post-breakup, I don't mean to make you feel bad, but you ruined everything.
But you fucked up everything.
Like, okay.
I mean, you know, and I kind of want to give it, because, like, he has a lyric in here where he's talking about, like, you know, she was kind of jealous, where he's like, remember when you had me stop talking to my closest friend who was a female because you said you felt threatened by her, you know, remember when I bought you your favorite color, a reefer, for a holiday that you didn't even remember, and talking about how she was drinking and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, I do get, like, what he's saying, but it takes it to, like, the third verse until he gets to that, and like, he brings it up front first, how, like, you ruined everything. And it's like, I need some justification sooner than later.
Yeah.
You know?
Just a couple more words where he's like, hey, I'm sorry, I remember my old song made you cry, and I felt really bad about that. I felt so bad about it, I'm gonna make you feel even worse in Perfect. I feel so bad, I'm gonna double down in just a couple tracks.
That's the problem with these self-awareness joints, and it's getting at me because I think, like, I mean, artists make songs about, like, real life stuff. You know, Kendrick Lamar, he makes songs about, like, real life and stuff like that. And I remember even some people raising the conversation that, like, hey, when he made a song about, like, Tammy or something like that, like, hey, that was a real person. Was it cool for him to make this type of song? But I feel like, in some capacity, like, you at least respect the artfulness enough to have that conversation in an honest way where it's like, but he is trying to say something by telling this story. And so, like, where's the difference between, like, someone trying to do something with their art versus, you know, maybe exploiting someone? With this, it just feels too awkward. It just feels like, I don't know, man. This feels a little too and with how,
too
like,
much on display.
Yeah, and it's just so weird, like, cause it's like, you want an artist to be personal, but something just feels exploitative about some of this, you know?
Yeah.
And again, it feels like he's not handling it that well, and so it's just like, I don't even know if you should be doing this. Oh yeah, bringing it back to Shavings real quick. Like, it wasn't even just like he was, oh, they hate me because I'm a bad rapper. Like, later on in the song, he's like, no, it happened again. I peed the bed. No. And I was like, is this here? Is this where this is about? I thought we were talking about, like, you know, feeling inadequate next to, like, you know, rapping and being online and stuff. This is weird. And then the mom was like, I'm sorry, honey, but, you know, you gotta get ready for school, so come on. It's like, what? This mom is, like, not being understanding at all. Like,
it's so bad. It's really bad.
So weird. Who wants to listen to that? Who's going to the concert to hear, like, yeah, hardcore rapping and oh snap, and here's the part where he cries on stage.
Here's where he gets in the fetal position and cries for 2 minutes. It's my favorite part of the concert. Everyone get your phones out.
You know, he actually pees himself. Now that's entertainment.
Yeah! It's like the fucking, I saw you post on Twitter, the part in Down with the Sickness. No, mommy, stop hitting me! Why are you hitting me? Stop! Like,
did we talk about that, by the way?
No, I remember when that got radio play, like, I think they cut that part out, thankfully, because I don't remember ever hearing it until, like, one day I might have, like, heard it online or something, and I was like, whoa, why is this in here?
I was listening to a podcast that was, like, talking about, like, someone's experience with that song and how, like, they were at, like, some Christian, you know, high school football or something like that, really Christian conservative place, and, you know, the football team is coming out, they're like, oh, what song do we want to play? And they start playing the, you know, that song, sure. Yeah,
Down with the Sickness.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is so cool. And then the person who wrote the letter to the podcast is talking, and he goes like, I wondered if they knew if this was going to be the censored or uncensored version. And sure enough, it was the uncensored version, and boy, no one was ready for it. Oh, no, mommy, don't hit me, you fucking bitch. I'm so tired of this shit.
We're giving a lot of love to early 2000s between Puddle of Mud.
Because those were the angry white boy, the proto, you know.
I said Puddle of Mud and I meant POD.
Yeah,
sorry,
but we are, yeah.
I don't love POD, but you're not Puddle of Mud. That's disrespectful. Did you see the video of Puddle of Mud covering the Nirvana song?
No.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, you found it.
Oh my god.
Keep going.
Oh. Oh no. Oh.
You hang me out to dry. I can see you every night.
Oh, yeah, that's the shit. That's the good shit.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! He doesn't even slightly have the note! Like, he's not even slightly there! Oh man, and they're just going, they're just like, shit.
Well, we're in it for the long haul, I guess. How long is this shit? Oh no.
This is one guy who's like, hey man, you gotta start over.
And like, I saw some people saying this was a marketing ploy to get people talking about Puddle of Mud in 2020 because otherwise they never would again. But I don't believe
this
that.
came out this year?
Oh yeah, very recently, like last week. But see,
people needed to hear it.
but see, I don't buy that because a few years ago, you could find video as recently as a couple years ago of them performing on like TV.
I'm sorry, it kept playing.
You're still watching it?
Because it had a really long pause, and I was just listening to you talk, and then he went back into the verse. I was like, "Oh no!"
I couldn't hear it. I thought you'd stopped.
It's like, oh, dude, you might as well just asked. You would have gotten a better performance if you just asked anyone in that fucking studio to just do it instead of him. Like
Whoever the host was,
yeah, like
the fucking drummer.
Yeah, the guy holding the fucking boom mic, like. Anyone would have sounded more prepared than he did. At least they would have drank water earlier that day, because this just sounds like nothing. Like, wow.
When it comes to Token, our boy, I ended up giving this a 2.
I gave it a 3.5.
Ooh.
I think that there were there's a lot of ambition, you know what I'm saying? Some of the songs that weren't as interesting to talk about were okay, you know. The bad stuff is particularly bad, but like, as I listen to the songs, I'm like, but I don't want to, like, with the song where he's like crying, you know, it's just like, I don't want to hate it, but I also don't want to listen to it, but it, you know? And like you hear the potential, and again, like someone who's only 17, like some of these, you know, songs, it's like, yeah, this actually is, you know, pretty good for someone beyond this fear. But yeah, there's a lot of immaturity that just really shines through.
I can't grade on a curve though. Like I can't be like,
no love.
Oh well, it was only. I mean, no, I can't do that.
I'm saying, like, when you look at it for its time, right? Because who's going to be listening to it, right? Like, fellow, you know, 16 and 17-year-old kids who, you know, they like hip-hop music, and they, you know what I'm saying? This is their first speed rapper, you know, pack. You know, everyone's got to have that guy, you know? That's
really sad to think about, that, like, your first speed rapper is fucking Token. Ooh.
Look, we can't all have been blessed to have grown up with the same childhoods that gave us our Eminems and our Bone Thugs and Harmonies. Like you just don't always grow up at the right time.
I remember liking the other Token album, I guess a little bit more. I guess because he's a little more grown.
No, I actually like this one more because I feel like
I don't think I could. No,
I remember his personality going like even more so where it's too self-aware, and with this it's at least tempered by him, like, you know, being at least a little like self-conscious about it, you know what I'm saying?
But that about does it for this week's episode of the Going Off podcast. Thank you very much for fucking with us again for another week. And if this just so happens to be your first week with us, all of our old episodes are on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify.
Catch the Review a New podcast. That's also on Spotify and all that fun stuff. And, you know, the station heads, you know what I'm saying? Rapcritic, if you want to check that out, you can definitely join my Patreon where you're, you know, for $1, you can see episodes early, plus be a part of my Patreon Discord where we stream movies and stuff. And I'm getting on Twitch more, so after I'm done with an episode, I like to, you know, do my streams on there. So twitch.tv/rapcritical if you want to be a part of that.
Last week, on an off week, we recorded a special crossover episode of the Movie Review Podcast, and we did a review of Hedwig and Angry Inch from, was it 99 or 2000?
Like 2001, yeah.
Yeah. So we had a little crossover there. All three of us sat down and reviewed our favorite parts of the movie, aspects of the movie that might not age so well. So that right now is available on your Patreon.
Yeah, on my Patreon, patreon.com/reviewanew, if you want to see that and the other episodes that are exclusive there.
Dope. And the other ones you said are on Spotify then?
Yeah, every odd number is on Spotify, and every even number is on my page is on the Patreon for the Review a New Podcast, which is at patreon.com/Review a New Podcast. If you want to check that out. So patreon.com/Review a New Podcast.
Got it. Cool.
I wanted to make sure podcast was on there because I had to go check. I was like, wait, do I actually say, is it podcast on there?
Until next week for the Going Off podcast, I'm Muse.
And I'm Rap Critic. And wait a minute, who are you?